It has been such a long time since I looked at a Nintendo 64 game on this channel. The only one was GoldenEye, and I finished those videos back in episode 6 in Christmas 2019. I didn't even own this game yet back then. This is Body Harvest, one of the many games we rented once from our local video shop and never saw again because I didn't remember the name until YouTube was relatively new and people started making Hidden Gems videos back around 2008 or 2009. I then spent over a decade thinking I should buy it again, but not getting around to it until late 2020. While this game isn't very well known and flopped on release, it's actually quite important as it was DMA Design's first attempt at making a large 3D world, being one of their stepping stones to making Grand Theft Auto 3. As for story, the Earth lies in ruins in the far off year 2016. Man, remember when that was the worst year ever? In comparison to what we've had since, I almost miss it. The planet has been the victim of the 100-year-long alien invasion where the aliens have harvested humanity close to extinction and left the planet dead. The last survivors hang on in the planet's orbit in the Station Omega. They have a prototype time travel device ready so that they can foil the invasion at several key points in Earth's history. They've put together a team of genetically enhanced soldiers to carry out this mission, but they've run out of time as the aliens have returned. The alien comet approaches the station and blasts their way on board. The only surviving soldier, Adam Drake, tries to escape as the aliens approach him. While waiting for a door to open, an alien shot hits him and cuts his arm before he blows the alien up in retaliation. He makes his way to an escape vessel, bleeding all the way as more aliens try to force their way in. He manages to escape before the alien can reach him. But the alien is instead more interested in the drops of Adam's blood left behind, staring at it with its big corncob eyes. Adam escapes on the Alpha 1 as the aliens give chase and travels back in time. On starting a new game there are two difficulties, Hero and Zero. This is a hard game, but you can only finish it on Hero. The game cuts off before the second to last level on Zero. The Alpha 1 lands in the first key moment of the alien invasion, Greece in 1916. Right away my mission control and only other surviving human, Daisy Hernandez, will give me my mission objectives. First I just have to find out what's going on and investigate this village. She points out that I can remind myself of the current objective by checking the map, where it's repeated by this robot. And I have no idea if this guy has a name, because I cannot find it anywhere. You can see a green box around the map, that's all I have access to at this moment. There's a barrier blocking me off from the rest of the map, and only destroying this area's alien processor can allow me to continue. I just follow the path down until I find a car I can drive, this one being Nico's supplies van. A little bit further and I get my first alien attack. These ones generate a barrier if I get too close and fire their own lasers. But right now I'm protected inside this vehicle as it has its own separate health bar. My basic blaster also has unlimited ammo. After taking the two on the ground out, I also have a flying alien to deal with. There are people around here, and below my health there is a human meter that fills up with every human death. If the bar fills completely, it's an instant game over. My way forward is blocked as the drawbridge has been raised. I enter the nearest house. There are a few indoor themes in this game, and they're really good. They're so eerie to the point you feel less safe indoors where you can't fight than you do surrounded by aliens. The man inside allows me to pull the lever and lower the bridge. I also steal his truck, the Grimly Transport. As soon as I cross, new aliens beam down. There's some smaller hopping ones that have little health and some even smaller ones with even less health. But as I move further along the road, I detect a harvester wave. These are a huge threat. They attack villages where there are lots of humans and try gathering them with green slime. If they harvest enough, not only do they transform it into an incredibly powerful alien, it adds a massive amount to the human bar at once. There is a cursor on screen to tell me where it's happening, but sometimes these can be a little misleading. But you can get a more accurate location by checking the map. I get some even bigger aliens here that drop health pickups when they die as well. Although this first one isn't hard, I do hear at least one human's death scream. Plus, I accidentally aid them in blowing up a house. In this village I also take an SR Shadow, an easier to control car. I get back on the main road and keep following it west. The road turns north through a canyon where a path east is blocked off by a boulder and more aliens beam down. This time we get these gunners that still aren't much of a threat yet. I just keep following the road, learning I can kill some of the smaller aliens by driving into them. The road turns towards a military outpost. I go up the hill to the west and aliens beam down into it, but I can't get through the fence, so I hang around outside it and slowly plink away each alien's health. Good thing it wasn't a harvester wave or I'd be in trouble. When I finally find the way inside the base, there's one house I can enter which has a chest that contains the first of 3 alien artifacts in this time period. Back the way I came, there was this mine I ignored. There's a chest with some dynamite inside. Back at the military base, I keep following the road to the west and around to the south, getting even more alien attacks. I won't point them all out, unless I get a new one, something happens, or it's important. At one point I do get a more aggressive one that rams itself into my car and destroys it, but I still take them all out without taking bodily damage. The road eventually leads to another village. In one of the houses I can go through the drawers for machine gun ammo, although I still don't have the gun. Most importantly, there's a bulldog parked outside the house. This vehicle has its own built-in machine gun with infinite ammo. I backtrack all the way north to that boulder I passed earlier and use the dynamite to blow it up. But I also forgot to park my bulldog further away and end up dealing huge damage to it. I get going down this new path where I pick up a distress signal in the area I need to check out. This vehicle is very useful for taking on the aliens with. There are several forks in this road and each time I take the northern split until I reach another mine. This one has a large stockpile of chests, one of which being this time period's first of 3 weapon crystals. I'll get to these later. I also get a machine gun and more ammo. I backtrack to the previous fork and take the eastern split, leading to a lone house, where I accidentally kill a guy trying to shoot some aliens. Inside the house I learn that I can also inspect barrels of water to gain either health or sometimes fuel for my vehicles. But that's all and there's no one inside, so I think the guy I killed was the owner. Well, at least if he's dead he's not going to care that I steal his Riley 150 motorbike. Once again I go back to the previous fork and take the south split for another house. Inside is General Mackenzie, the owner of the Mackenzie hangar. He tells me the key to it should be nearby and if I find it, I can keep it and have access to his tanks. The hangar key is in one of the drawers next to his bed. As I leave I'm told there's been an energy surge in the Polstura suburbs, south of the military base. The motorbike is faster than the Bulldog, but the downside is that it doesn't have its own built-in weapon. As I head towards the suburbs, another harvester wave begins there, but on the way to it there are other alien waves slowing me down. I eventually cross the bridge to the suburbs and get shooting everything down, though I take long enough to get there that my human meter filled a bit. However, the attack has left many of the houses on fire, and Daisy tells me to put them out. I have 3 minutes to return to Trumptonner's town, which was where my first harvester wave appeared, grab one of the fire engines and put out the fires. I accomplish this in just less than half the required time. Once that's done I'm told to get inside the Mackenzie hangar slightly southeast of the military base. There's also a secret I missed in the mine where I found the dynamite. Lighting certain candles on the wall will open the door to a room where I can get another machine gun. With the hangar key I can get inside and come out driving a tank, the Panzerkampfwagen. With this I can now reach the alien processor marked as this big red spiky thing on the map. On my way back south I get plenty of chances to test out this tank's firepower and destroy some aliens. Going as far south as possible east of its dip and near an infected hill that only the tank can climb. There's projectiles coming from the distance and I lose a lot of tank health hoping I can shoot down whatever it is from here. But no, I have to drive up and face the processor. I take about a quarter of its health before my tank is destroyed. So I move on to my machine gun, chipping away at its health and taking out the smaller aliens it creates. I bring it down to quite low health, but since I haven't discovered there's a dodge roll yet, I get reduced to quite low health myself. I retreat back down the hill, steal a nearby lorry, and that's when I discover that only the tank can drive up here. For a second, I thought I'd screwed myself out of completing the stage, but it turns out I can take a second tank from the hangar. I get back down there and shoot out these last bits of health. The processor explodes and I'm given a useless score. Daisy sends over a status beacon. This is for saving the game with. These are the only ways you can save while in a time period, and they only appear in the locations processors are destroyed. This is going to become a big issue for me further along in the game. Down behind where the processor was is the shield portal, a small gap in the barrier that lets me reach Greaser's stage 2 section. My tank disappeared because I turned the game off after saving and came back later, which despawned it, so I had to go all the way back to the hangar to bring one over. My next objective is to simply gather intel on this area, and then right away a harvester wave starts to the south. On my way to deal with it while also under attack, Daisy interrupts to tell me about a monastery across the bridge which may contain some information. I also somehow got my tank wedged into the side of its bridge, so hopefully the harvester gives me time to pull off the 57-point turn needed to get out of it. I just ignore the monastery and keep heading southeast to take on the wave, and as I reach it, the robot is telling me to find a way to the southern landmass. With my team no longer nagging me, I'm free to finally save this village. With that done, I backtrack to the monastery I skipped and go inside. The priest inside says he doesn't know anything, but their library has information going back centuries. The daughter said library is on the back. It's mainly some vague hints towards things I'll be covering soon, so I'll skip past it. I get following the road east until I can cross a bridge to the south going over the village I saved from the harvester. The road then turns east again and I just keep following it all the way until I find a building with a large statue on the roof. But it's locked, so I backtrack a tiny bit and turn north. As I reach the end of the land I get a new alien type, another one with gun arms, these ones more mobile than the others. Continuing to follow the road has me going up this mountain path, fighting several gangs of aliens on the way. I get a small setback when some dickhead parked his truck sideways on the road and I had to keep ramming it until it shifted out of the way. Don't know where that guy is, but the only excuse I'll accept is if the aliens killed him. At the top is a hidden temple with corpses on the floor that laugh when I inspect them. I approach the statue in the back and take the sun shield from it. I return to the building with the statue and equip the sun shield. This is basically an infinite ammo heat beam, and I use it to light the statue's torch to unlock the door. Inside there's a tunnel going under the sea that leads out of an identical building to the south. I finally reached the southern landmass. I'm attacked right away, where I learn that the sun shield is an excellent weapon, infinite ammo and quick, decent damage. They all try charging me and I just burn them all down. Although the damage to this area was already done by the time I got here. Plus, while I'm dealing with them, a harvester wave starts up to the southeast. Thankfully there's a second tank around here, so I'm not running all the way. I then find a new kind of tank, the Mark I crocodile, and take that instead. These ones shoot actual missiles and are pretty strong, but my human meter is shooting up with all these distractions. That's because I took too long to get here and the harvester ate enough people and mutated. This early in the game, the tank can easily destroy the mutant though. I get an update marking down where some boats are on my map. I backtrack along the road to a fork I skipped and start going south. Eventually the road turns west, with another harvester starting in that direction, leading to this ramp. I get another new alien type, these red ones that dive bomb you and explode on contact. I try jumping the ramp with my tank, but I end up plummeting into the sea and destroying it. I can swim, but very slowly and with limited air before I start to drown, but I have enough to make it to the other side. Somehow I had the time to race to the village on foot to take on the harvester. With the village saved I head back, but halfway down the road I swim back across the sea to find another house next to the water gate that I can enter. The guy inside is trying to fix the water gate, but he's missing a cog. He complains about the miller taking the last one. So I swim back across to the western island and drive down the road going east some more so I can swim back across to the ramp I tried to jump. I keep going east until I can move north to find a secluded house. There's a barrel on the left that putting my hand in will raise a wall in the back that just gets me some machine gun ammo. I keep moving east from the house, taking out more aliens until I find a house with a Greek flag on top. The guy inside says his soldiers went to deal with a blockade near the windmill but are all most likely dead. He tells me to take the howitzer next to his house as it should still have some shells in it. He's also got a chest in a side room with even more shells in it. I take the howitzer to the ramp. I can't jump it, but from here I can shoot the blockade to destroy it. I get running up the newly available road to a windmill. The miller won't hand over the cog, so I do the only sensible thing. I knock the propeller off his windmill and take the cog from the machinery. He's not happy. I return to the house next to the water gate and hand over the cog. He tells me there's a boat a little to the south and that the gate should automatically open if I approach it. The boat is next to the ramp and the gate works. As I go through it, I get these red aliens in the water spitting bombs at me. There's a lone house across from the gate. The front door leads to nothing, but the back door leads to a hidden basement. I have to put my hand in this barrel to open a door further down. A lever in the middle left will then open another door. The chest next to said door has the second weapon crystal inside. The final room contains a chest with the second alien artifact. Back to the boat I get following the stream to the east. It eventually leads me to an island with the second alien processor. I try to get sneaky and hit it with the sun shield slightly from behind, but that doesn't work. So I have to get in front and do it. I do take a few hits doing this, but I've learned I can dodge roll since, so I just stand in front of it and slowly burn it and it spawned to death. And there's stage 2 cleared and I can save again. You can actually teleport between your available status beacons, but it's rarely ever a useful function. I get in the boat and drive south along the shield until I reach this small bit of land with the shield portal on it, crossing into stage 3 territory, which takes up almost all the rest of the map. The second I enter, Daisy warns me that the place is covered in aliens and a new type appears in front of me, these giant mantis things with laser eyes. They move much quicker than any other land alien seen so far. But it's not just that. Like Daisy said, there's loads of them, and this town is pretty much fucked by the time I manage to wipe them all out. I get in a supply van and take the path east and then north. I don't even get to leave the town before a harvester wave starts up to the north, and on the way there's still other batches beaming down to distract me. This harvester is quite a trek away, but I make it on time. I take out the harvester first before my van is destroyed and then sun shield the rest of them to death. I'm given a new objective, to cross a nearby bridge as a shortcut to the processor, so I get running to the northeast corner of town where the bridge is. There's a chapel on the way and the priest inside is terrified of me, saying he's seen one of me in black and the things he has done. Well, that's odd, but I take a van and get moving north. I enter a house where the chest gets closed off by a door when I get close, so I just have to walk back a bit to open it again. This contains Greaser's final weapon crystal, creating the alien weapon. This is a very powerful weapon that I did not use in this stage to conserve its ammo, not fully knowing how weapons work in this game yet. The bridge is to the east, but as I approach it I see the version of us dressed in black the priest talked about who blows up the bridge. Now I have to take the long way around. I'm next told to pass through the tunnel to the northwest instead. To do that I first go all the way south from here to find this boat shed. The guy inside says I can take a boat and follow the waterway north to find a temple. He lets me have the lifeboat. I do as he says and follow the water north, going past the remains of the bridge until I see this sunken temple. There's a slope going into the water nearby that I can use to get back onto land. At the top there are 3 statues, one of them with a door below it. In this first room I take the stairs going down, but find I can't do anything yet, so I leave. Instead I follow the road going west until I find another tunnel. There's this Indiana Jones looking guy searching for a missing piece of the runestone behind him. All he found was a crank in the chest, which he lets me have. With that I grab a nearby saloon car and drive back to that statue. In the second room I place the crank in this pillar and turn it. Based on the signs placed on the wall, it seems the sunken temple I passed was Atlantean. I go right into a third room and put the crank in another pillar. Once I leave, I learn that the crank raised the other 2 statues' arms so that all 3 point at the temple, which rises from the sea, so I take my boat over and go inside. There's a sign in here saying that the room piece was left here for a destined one to find. I pull a lever in the top right corner to open a door further in. In the second room I go down the stairs in the middle left. There's a chest in here, but it's locked. There are 2 levers next to the entrance to pull. After that, interacting with the chest opens another door in the middle left. It grants me the hieroglyph map piece. I return to the tunnel with the rune to find the explorer is thrilled I accomplished his life's goal for him. I place the missing piece to open a door further into the tunnel. I pass through the tunnel to reach another room that leads back outside, into the northeastern section of this map. And there's a load of aliens just waiting for me to destroy them. And as soon as they're all gone, another harvester wave starts up further north. I grab a nearby van and get going, ignoring non-harvester aliens for the first time as I cross this bridge and go around the mountains to reach the town under attack. I sunshield everything to death and get some new info. The robot has detected an aircraft somewhere to the east. First I get going northwest around the mountains to reach another lone chapel next to a cliff. The chest here has Greaser's final alien artifact. Completing the time period with all 3 artifacts lets me re-challenge the boss through the main menu. Back to the town I just saved, I exit through the northeast. I follow the road all the way east to see that there are some planes, but the man in black from before has planted another bomb to blow them all up. He then gets beamed out before I can do anything. I enter the building here to find a pilot who had just been knocked out. In exchange for untying him, he'll teach me how to fly. There was this Sapworth trainer indoors that the man in black missed. I have a small tutorial to get used to the controls of the plane. First is the takeoff, which takes a while since I parked my van in front of the door which killed my speed, and after that is shooting targets, then is landing. The plane isn't that difficult to control once you figure it out. Considering the time this game came out, it could have been much worse. I'm given my next objective to prevent the aliens from destroying another bridge. There's a refugee truck on the way to said bridge and the aliens plan to crash into it and take out all the humans at once. I quickly find the refugee truck and hang above it, shooting out all the aliens that show up. The red flying aliens show up while I'm turning and I manage to take most of them out, but one survives and brings down the bridge. This massive loss of life fills out the human bar and I can see what happens. The sky darkens and a massive lightning storm instantly kills me. Despite Daisy yelling at me to get out of there, it's impossible to survive. Thanks to the way saving works in this game, I have to repeat all 45 minutes of this stage again. Another 40 minutes later, they take out the bridge again. On my third try, one of them gets close, but I take them all out and the refugees are safe. Right after, a harvester wave starts in a town to the east of this bridge. Now I can fly, I get there quicker and start shooting them out. But the harvester's force field when I get too close makes my plane nosedive and instantly destroys it. I also get grabbed by the slime that carries human victims towards the harvesters. But I break free and sunshield them all to death. My next objective is to fly to the alien processor down in the southeast corner of the map. Then get myself a new plane and get heading south along the barrier. Slightly north of the processor is a completely destroyed village I decide to stop by and clear out. I take them all out and I manage to land my plane in the one dip in this town that makes it stuck. So I take a nearby car and push it out. I head further south to find the processor, being backed up by constantly spawning mantisaurs. They shoot down my plane and on foot I can't keep up with all the enemy fire and am quickly overwhelmed. Time to go through the entire 40+ minute stage a fourth time. Next time I manage to deal decent damage before my plane is shot down. This time I retreat north into the destroyed town, take a bulldog and charge right in shooting. This lets me quickly take out the processor and finish stage 3. I get my status beacon and Daisy tells me that with all the processors destroyed, I can now reach the alien shield generator, the last obstacle to freeing this time period. It's dead center in the map, so I'm gonna need another plane. Heading north from the town, I find a bike and try ramp jumping my way back north. This ends with me falling into water and drowning. I get back next time by just not driving myself into water and get another plane. I have to find another shield portal to reach this generator though. It's surrounded by gunners and is always spawning in more aliens. The generator has 4 sections to it that need to be destroyed individually. but I don't get to do much before my plane is shot down. I take out a huge amount of aliens and then hang back at a distance and slowly sunshield the edges of the generator. Once the edges are destroyed, I can shoot the main body of the generator until it is destroyed. After that, the Alpha 1 can now safely fly to my location and take on a battle mode. I'm given a chance to save before the first boss gets beamed in, the Leviathan. For the bosses, I control the Alpha 1 like a hovercraft. I have a basic machine gun while the Leviathan fires missiles at me. I figure the best way to take this guy on is to skid around him while shooting, hopefully avoiding his attacks. Each of its 4 claws has their own separate life bar. Using this strategy, its lower right arm is blown off first. At this point it will start pounding the ground to bounce me up with the shockwaves. They get too close and it destroys the Alpha 1, which also causes an instant death. Next time I also managed to break off the lower left arm. Destroying appendages drops extra weapons, it's just that I never had the chance to grab any before now. I get the plasma bombs which cause huge explosions and hit all appendages at once. The auto target doesn't work as well on the upper arms, so I have to create a bit of distance and then shoot at them while it approaches me. I take out the last 2 arms in quick succession, allowing me to finally damage the main body. At this point he starts getting even more aggressive and causes me huge damage, but I pick up ammo for the frag cannon, which in just 3 shots chews through the last of its health. Despite the hard time and many time losses in stage 3, I really enjoyed this opening time period. I really liked the hopeless atmosphere the game gives off. With the alien victory in Greece 1916 averted, we next time travel 25 years forward to prevent their destruction of Java in 1941. Because the game didn't tell me it auto-saved, I was looking for a way to make sure and find that I can enter the Alpha 1. Then the memory came back. The only real childhood memory I had of renting this game was seeing Daisy in 3D in some kind of indoor room. So when I saw gameplay clips on YouTube years later where her icon when talking to me was 2D, I was wondering if I created fake memories. But no, I was remembering the inside of the Alpha 1. One thing I can do in here is reset the positions of all vehicles on the map in case I'd somehow screwed myself. With each new time period I travel to, I lose all my weapons and I'm reduced to just the regular pistol. This means I'm never going to see a weapon as useful as the sunshield again. It also means my attempts at saving the ammo for the alien weapon were pointless. I get moving east and a harvester wave starts up further on. Aliens are stronger and more durable in Java than they were in Greece, and most of them are now different colours. In Greece most were green, but in Java they're brown. I nearly kill the harvester, but I turn for a second to take out the flying alien. That gives the harvester enough time to back its arse up to me and deliver an incredibly powerful killing blow. That's a good start, and let it set the tone for the Java experience. Next time I back away a bit while shooting so it takes them longer to approach me and I kill them quicker. The first objective is to find a way onto the island to the north. I enter the big house here to find a chest with ammo for a rifle that I can take from the back wall. It belonged to this guy's uncle and he lets me have it as for years the elders said that a man would descend from the heavens to save them from the aliens. He also tells me there's a man to the north who can give me a boat. Around the back of the house I can take a new Grimly transport and get moving north. There's a new kind of hopping alien here that's only really memorable for still being green while the rest have turned brown. The road leads to a small hut at the end of the island. The guy inside says his airboat is broken and he's missing the parts to repair it. His brother Rob is on the North Island and may be able to help though. There's a building marked to the east on my map, so I just drag the truck along the water's edge until I reach it. I face some aliens, including using my rifle to destroy one clinging to this cable car. This is required to get it working again. The operator thinks it fixed itself. I get on and make it travel across to the Northern Island. As I'm fighting the aliens that spawned in as soon as I got here, another harvester wave starts up to the north. I take too long dealing with this lot, so I have to leave a few and get in a nearby truck. Looking at the map, I also have a long winding mountain road west, then north and east to get through to reach this harvester. I try going west to see if there's a quicker way along the mountain edge, but my truck slides down the mountain. This was a stupid idea. As I keep running along the edge trying to find a way back up, I end up under heavy fire that just makes my health plummet. I turn the camera and it's a roach gunner, one of the toughest enemies in the game. It ends up killing me. Next time I take the chance to enter the Northern Cable Car Station. There's a shotgun and some ammo for it in chests. Of course, the shotgun is very powerful, but there's just less ammo for it. Next time I take the correct path in the truck instead of looking for a shortcut. I reach the harvester but I already lost a couple humans on the way. I also lose my truck just before killing it. While I'm in this place, I check out this white house for some much needed shotgun ammo. As I check out the east of this village, I can see the roach gunner that killed me in the distance. Keeping safe far away and uphill, I use my rifle to slowly take away all its health. I move north from there and just a few steps has me taking on another mantisaur. After that I go downhill and cross this little bit of land across the river to find a bunker. One of the chests in here has Java's first weapon crystal. Once I leave, I get another kind of flying alien, these helicopters that shoot down balls of electricity. I return to the village I saved from that last harvester and take another new car, the Kubel wagon. I take the road going east out of the village until it reaches another. After dealing with the aliens here, I just forget I have a car and keep following this winding path on foot to reach this hut at the edge of a cliff. The elder inside tells me to check out Java's elemental temples to find powerful objects that will help me. The chest behind him has the first alien artifact. I return to the village where I left my car and find Rob's rentals in the corner. His boats were all eaten by aliens, but he still has some parts remaining. And yet I, despite clearly seeing 2 chests in here, only open one which has some shotgun ammo, assume I just have the part and leave. Then I somehow end up going to this island's southern coast where I get a new kind of sea gunner that's pretty easy to kill. I trek all the way back to Rob's brother and I'm somehow very confused when I don't have the part I didn't pick up. So I travel all the way back and feel very stupid when I realised I missed the chest with the part that was right in front of me. As I return to the cable car station, Daisy calls me to say that something nearby is causing a massive power drain, so the cable car is unusable for now. So I get back along the path to the village I saved from the harvester and halfway there find that an alien has attached itself to the power station and is shooting electrical beams everywhere. It destroys my car, so I find the perfect spot where the scenery will block its lasers but I can still shoot it. I kill it and restore power to the cable car. So I ride back and hand over the airboat part. He fixes it up and now I can drive it. My next objective is to destroy the alien processor, which is to the southeast. On the way I stop by a house on the northeastern corner of the southern island so I can find the machine gun in a chest. I move east a little more to find the processor has put itself in the most inconvenient place, surrounded by loads of small islands and hills. I try hanging back and sniping it, but I run out of rifle ammo and it sends out those exploding dive bombers so I can't stay still. I decide my only option is to zoom in up close and start shotgunning. It works and I take out the processor, clearing stage 1 and getting my status beacon. This one wasn't as bad as I remember, just 2 deaths. I was probably mixing it in with the rest of Java. The shield portal is to the east of my beacon. As I pass through, a military base is marked on my map and the next objective is to find a way inside. And, as is becoming normal, a harvester wave starts immediately to the east. This is a strong one, as I'm on foot and they have several mantisaurs. There are also mines planted around here that send me flying when they go off, quickly killing me. On the good side, grounded aliens can also be killed by mines. But this time I manage to kill the harvester and Daisy interrupts, telling me to check out a temple on a hill to the east. Seconds after the wave is defeated, another one starts up further east. So I take a nearby car, zoom through the mountains and quickly machine gun them all to death. I was needing to come this way anyway, so after looting the house here for some ammo, I get travelling up the nearby hill to find the temple Daisy mentioned. This is the Elemental Earth Temple. The elder inside tells me that this place contains the blade of the Java Chris knife, made from a star that fell here ages ago. He says that only the wisest can find it, so I walk into the right wall for a door to open. Only the wisest, eh? I go up the stairs and approach the statue to gain the Chris knife blade. I return to the first village hit by a harvester and take the north road through more hills. I take the first east I can and then the first south to see the gates of the military base. Not only are they shooting at me, thinking I'm a threat, but there's also a pair of mantisaurs coming for me at the same time. While trying to avoid fire, I accidentally send my car over a cliff. This means I'm running against the edge of the water trying to avoid drowning until I surface back at the village. I run back to the mantisaurs and take them out. There's a military truck that circles the area before returning to the base. I need to follow the truck in when the gates open for it. It doesn't work on foot as the truck is much faster than me and it just gets me shot a bunch. I come back with the car and tailgate my way inside. The base is swamped with aliens and they just keep beaming in. Once I've taken out the ones inside the base, I check out some of the buildings in here. My next objective is just a mark on the map and being told to find a way to kill all the aliens. Most of these places store ammo, so I get a good stockpile. Especially from the main building. The general inside tells me that Craggy Island to the northeast is absolutely covered in aliens. He allows me to take a tank from the nearby factory inside the base to fight them with. But first I spend a few more minutes looting the rest of this place. And also there are still more aliens in the base to deal with, for which I use the bulldog that was parked inside. I like how we see the same vehicles through each time period, but as we travel further they get more advanced looking to fit the time. Much destruction later and I'm ready to enter the tank factory and come out riding a Jagdpanther. With it I can blow up the base's gates, taking away their defense from the aliens, but making things slightly more convenient for myself if I need to come back. I travel north across this bridge and open the gates to enter Craggy Island. Past the gates is a ramp, but I can go north and take this road uphill to find a bunker with more ammo. I try to build up speed for the ramp, but end up sinking my tank. I come back with another and almost make it, but sink that one too. Looks like I'm continuing on foot. A little further there's a radio station. I go inside. The operator is trying to redirect their artillery to the bugs in the north, but the radio is out of power, so it looks like the aliens have taken another generator. Said generator is further north. But as soon as I leave, I'm under attack by helicopters. I take the Trekker parked nearby, but the aim on its cannons is too awkward for enemies flying off screen above me. So I take them out without it and find that to the north are 2 Roach gunners waiting for me. One's already shooting at me, but the environment is blocking it, so I just sit there and slowly snipe away its health. I miss my sun shield. After they're dead, I head west from the radio station to find the generator. It destroys my Trekker before I can even get close enough to hit it, so once again it's hiding behind hills and shotgunning it to death. Freeing the radio station allows the artillery to turn north and wipe out all the remaining Roach gunners, and yet by the time I get back to the station there's already a new one shooting at me. So once more, hiding out of view, shotgunning them. They also placed a body of water between me and the hill leading to the second one to make doubly sure I can't fight back easily. But I manage it and the harvester wave starts up back south, all the way back at the first village I saved. I get back, picking up another tank on the way and deal with it, but there's also like a million other bugs beaming in, and then another harvester wave at the second village. And of course by the time I get back the Roach gunners have respawned once again. As I'm clearing them out again, another pissing harvester wave starts up to the northeast. Luckily there's another tank parked further up the road, but all of these harvesters have my human meter half full. And just as I reach the village, I'm too late and the mutant is created, filling the meter even more. Good thing the tank can kill it in 2 hits. I enter the bunker here for some grenades. I go back the way I came and halfway along the road is a tunnel blocked off by a rock, only the grenades can blow up the rock. I go inside and take the tunnel out the other side, onto the eastern third of the map, and another harvester wave starts right away to the southeast. There's a Trekker nearby and I take it along the road, which dips into water many times, so I have to be careful not to sink it. I reach the village and take out the harvester, but this is insane. So much shit going on at once and the human meter still fills a good amount from the volume of lasers flying around. At least there's another house here with ammo refills. Now my next objective is just the processor. So I get following the road north until I can drive over the hill and take on the processor. I do some damage with the Trekker, but the processor destroys it and one of those bastard dive bombers finishes me off. That was over an hour's progress lost in seconds. The difficulty spike starting with Java 2 is ridiculous. I could theoretically go back to the status beacon and save my level progress, but that in itself is even riskier. There's no guarantee you'll survive on the way back, and there's a good chance you'll get more harvester waves during the backtracking. It's just not worth trying. And the dive bombers kill me at the processor again. That's another hour lost. And then a third time for 3 hours lost to this one processor. Next time I discover that the Trekker also has a machine gun built in and I can deal a lot of damage getting on this slope in front of the processor and just firing while the momentum on the slope lets me dodge a few lasers. It's still destroyed, but I damage it enough I could just brute force the rest of it with the shotgun. That was pure stress, but I've got my status beacon so I can finally save. After reloading the game, which respawns the Trekker, I take it back along the road and follow it all the way to the end to reach the shield portal. My current objective is to just explore and help out those under attack, such as the harvester wave that kicks into the northwest. When I get there, my attempt at saving those caught in the harvester slime ends with me running them over. It fills up the human meter, but at least it prevents a mutant, which would fill it more. Once the harvester is destroyed, Daisy reports to me that the aliens have made a nearby volcano erupt, putting many more people at grave risk. I enter one of the houses where the man inside tells me to bring those cut off by the volcano back to this village using an old freighter. Daisy says to reach the freighter I'll need to take an airboat. The airboat is to the west and I have to be very careful, as even being close to the lava will cause continuous damage. There's a small rock path underwater that marks a safe spot to drive, so I follow it. Things almost go terribly when I get stuck in lava for a few seconds, but I break out and make it to the other side with the tiniest bit of boat health left. I get to watch a huge amount of people fleeing their homes onto the freighter. Before I get on board, I take out a new kind of flying alien approaching it. I get inside the freighter and slowly make my way back the way I came. This is constantly taking damage regardless of where I am, but it's safer than the airboat as it's easier to control, so I won't be slipping into fiery walls and all that. Once I bring them back to the village, my next objective is to figure out how I get around Mount Ruarua post-eruption. But first I return to that house I visited before. The guy inside lets me have what's in his chest as reward for saving everyone. He tells me to find a guy named Bogie and ride the Javanese Queen around the mountain. The chests get me a rocket launcher and some ammo. I get back in the freighter and take it back to where I found it. I get running west into the ruins of the village and follow the road north. It's a very long winding path going up the mountain. Once I reach the top, I suddenly get a message from the man in black who caused me problems in Greece. He beams down a huge load of aliens that approach me from the other side of the mountain. I have so much shotgun ammo saved up that I get through them, though I still lose a lot of health. but that's just the first wave. I have to follow this thin path surrounded by lava as more and more aliens keep dropping in. I eventually make it out the other side and keep heading east and north up this hill to find another of the elemental temples. Another harvester wave starts up to the east, but first I slide down the mountains to the west to find the real temple entrance. The tunnel inside leads to some stairs that let me grab the Rua Rua idol. Now I have to deal with the harvester as my human meter gets to 80% full. I slide down the mountain some more and end up back at the freighter. But then a second harvester wave starts up before I even dealt with the first. In the end, the first one successfully becomes a mutant. It destroys my vehicle, dodges most of my bullets, and kills me. Next time I make it to the first harvester on time and kill it, but there's still the second one to the southwest. I speed my way south and blow up the harvester, but it already had some people gathered in one spot and I end up running them over, leaving the human meter dangerously close to full. South of this village I barely saved is a thin narrow path over lava and boiling water. I have to work out my way through this path without touching the especially red parts. I eventually reach more stable ground and follow the road west and north back up the mountain from earlier, but I turn too late and end up slipping into the lava and getting myself killed again. Next time I take a trekker over the lava path. I drive all the way up the mountain and across the path I battle the man in black's minions on, I drop down past the temple and follow the road to a house where the guy inside, Bogey, notes that I had the idol of Rua Rua. He allows me the use of his boat, the Javanese Queen. I get moving east down the river, but then my footage freezes for a bit and when it cuts back in, I'm shooting at aliens from a distance. As I keep moving down the only route available, more aliens keep spawning on the land either side of me. This boat has strong cannons though, so it's fine. I get another message from the man in black, basically just warning me to join them or die. Even roach gunners take a lot of damage from this cannon. I'm here a while, so I check where the processor is, and it's quite the trek. It's a long destructive journey until I finally reach the end of this river and can get off. I go south uphill and a harvester wave starts to the west. Got to deal with this one on foot and I very nearly die getting stuck in a loop of being grabbed by the harvester slime, but I kill them all and enter this nearby tunnel. There's a car waiting for me and I get very unhappy when I follow this road and what looks like a normal hill turns out to be a sheer drop into lava. Next time I ignore the tunnel, it's a waste of time. Behind the house east of the harvester wave is a trekker and I take it north from the village and follow it a huge distance until I reach this lone house. The woman inside says I should visit the fire temple but doesn't know how I'd get there without wings. She also gives me some swamp fever medicine. Once I leave, a harvester wave starts up a huge distance south, so I rush down there and very quickly deal with it. I go back all the way to the house south of where I parked the Javanese Queen. The man inside is ill and I hand him the swamp fever medicine. In return, he allows me to use his own boat slightly to the west, since I can't take the Queen any further. The Swordfish is a good quick boat with strong missiles that tear through the aliens that spawn in as I head north. Head north enough and I can see the processor. This one is easy to deal with, as there are plenty of stationary aliens to kill that drop health recovery. Once I get a good spot, I just stay there and quickly spam missiles and it dies in no time. I get my status beacon and that's another one I'm glad to see the back of. However, we're far from done. Java actually has 4 stages instead of the 3 Greece had. There's a massive chunk of the map I still haven't explored and the shield portal into that section is to the east. I gain the nearby trekker and receive my first objective, to find a way into Blackness Harbour. I speed west along the mountain and go flying off the cliff edge for a harvester wave to begin underneath me. Now I've saved, I have to be careful as the human meter is 80% full. I take out this one for Daisy to tell me there's already another starting to the north, but it's a load of smaller islands separated by water, so I end up sinking my trekker and having to run the rest of the way. This gets me killed when 3 mantisaurs gang up on me. Next time I manage to kill the mantisaurs, but too many humans are killed and the world ends. On my 3rd attempt, I remember I have a stockpile of rockets built up. I was saving them for the shield generator, but using a few now can't be too bad. I take out the 2nd wave, return to the first village I saved and enter the hut. The man inside tells me there's a shaman waiting for me in the water temple, but like the fire temple, I need to fly there. I grab a nearby truck and follow the road going northwest. At one point there's a side road going south, so I floor it and jump this ramp, only barely making it if I abandon my vehicle. It takes me to the fenced off Blackness Naval Base. I run east along the fence until I can turn south. I go all the way and then east some more to see an alien siphoning from another power station. I'm not messing about with them this time, so I just rocket it twice to kill it. I return to the gap I jumped and abandon my truck to find another boat down there. It's another swordfish and I use it to follow the river east and then south. The man in black interrupts once again and states his intent to kill the men in Blackness Harbour. The dam has been infected by the aliens and he is on top trying to kill me with lasers. All I can do is escape further east while Daisy wonders who the man in black even is and tells me to find a way through the dam. Further east is a huge ship. I get on deck and go inside. I talk to the captain, who intends to ram the boat into the dam to destroy it, but he needs someone to fix the fuel lines to get it moving again. One of the chests in this room also has the time period's second weapon crystal. I go through the door on the right, and in the next room go right and down for another door on the right. I turn a wheel on the wall to get the fuel pumping again. The captain advises I get off now and tells me to kill some aliens for him. The man in black gets to watch as the captain rams the boat through the dam. The man in black teleports away before he is caught in the explosion too. With the dam gone, I can take my boat into the naval base where another harvester wave kicks off. I rocket launch the main threats and then shotgun the rest of them. After that I enter the large building here and raid it for all of its ammo, along with the barracks. I get to try out a new kind of vehicle in here, the gyrocopter. Now I have this, my next objective is to check out those remaining temples. I see this plane I want to fly instead, so I blow up the gyrocopter landing near it. There's also a door up here which leads to the third and final weapon crystal of Java, granting me the alien weapon again, which is called the Starburst by the way. I get in the Griffin plane nearby and take off. I go through the shield portal into this stage, then go northwest until I find the water temple. Since the Griffin is so huge and there's little space, I end up sinking it trying to land. The elder inside tells me that this temple holds the handle of the Java Chris knife, so I light the candle to the right to open the door in the back, then put out the candle on the left to open a second one further back. This lets me reach the room with the handle. My Griffin may be sunk, but nearby there's a Zero plane I can take. This one floats on water too, so I don't have to worry about sinking it. To the east is a shield portal back into stage 3 territory. I keep heading east until I see the fire temple, but once again they give me barely any fucking space to land properly and my plane explodes. The elder in here tells me that this temple holds the hilt of the Java Chris knife. It just takes lighting a single candle to open the door in the back and grab it from the statue. There's a trekker around the back of the temple and a hill I can drive down to reach a bunker with more ammo. In the water is an airboat and I ride it south to reach one of the status beacons. This time saving in the middle of a stage isn't too much of the risk. The airboat can also drive on land by the way. I return to Blackness Naval Base where there's another Zero for me to grab. I fly a good distance south of the base until a jelly alien spawns inside my plane and instantly takes it out. I run up the mountain and take the arsehole out with the Starburst. There's also roach gunners around here too. I get running north trying to find any vehicle, but a harvester wave starts up at the naval base. I find a car, but keep getting jellies spawning in front of me and wasting time. On the way I pass through the Blackness airfield and make note of it. I just barely make it back and kill the harvester. I can also take control of his cannon, the Akak, to annihilate even the stronger aliens. I try to drive to the final temple marked on my map, but my boat runs out of fuel when I'm surrounded by lava. In the end, I slip and burn to death. I'm so glad I saved. With a newly reloaded gyrocopter, I fly all the way to the northeastern corner of the map at the top of the mountains to find a lone house. The chest inside gets me the second alien artifact of Java. I steal a second gyrocopter nearby because after that last death, I'm paranoid over running out of fuel at a bad time. I get flying south until I get through a shield portal back into the stage 2 area. Southwest a little is the Great Element Temple on top of the mountain. I finally pull off a landing even if it takes me skidding halfway down the mountain path first. The elder inside this one tells me to place all 3 parts of the Chris knife into the lightning stone to put all the elements in balance. The room behind him has the stone and I place it all in there. Once I go outside, lightning shoots from the temple, but then the sky's clear. This has also allowed us to find the location of the final processor. It's around the southeast corner of the first stage 4 area. First I make sure to save again. Before going for the processor, I want to visit the southwest corner of stage 4 first. On the way there I get to watch a shitload of jellies and roach gunners spawning below me. I land when I see a bunker and go inside to find Java's third and final alien artifact. With all of Java's collectibles, I fly southeast a little to find that alien processor. I land my gyrocopter on the cliff behind it where nobody can reach me and use a starburst to one-shot the roach gunners protecting it. Then one shot to the back of the processor's head annihilates it. That one wasn't quite as stressful as the last 2 stages since it gave me the first convenient chances to save mid-level, but it was still very stressful. After saving again, now it's time to find the shield generator. I just head north along the shield until I see the new portal. I don't know if I'm supposed to be able to fit the gyrocopter through, but I manage it. I just fly east a bit more and there it is. I don't last long though as my copter is shot down and I land in the crosshairs of a billion aliens. And since my gyrocopter didn't come with me on the reload, I'm instead taking a trekker and then bulldog through several mountain roads to the shield portal. And through the portal is a howitzer I missed last time. It's clear I was always intended to use this as I just rock up to the shield generator, get stuck on the slopes and lose too much health, getting it destroyed and a nearby Akak. It's clear that this game really struggles with sloped surfaces more than anything else. I come back with a gyrocopter, take out the last of the generator's reinforcements, crash it and then starburst the generator to death. The Alpha 1 shows up and transforms, I save, and the Java boss appears, Cerberus. This is a sort of scorpion with 3 heads, 2 of which are also machine guns. It has a laser cannon under the middle head I quickly destroy. It can also slam the ground to bounce me into the air and stun me. At first I can only damage the 2 extra heads. I first blow up the left head, but it quickly retaliates by destroying the Alpha 1 and killing me. Once again the left head goes first next time. Destroyed heads actually float around and continue fighting. I next break off the right head, allowing me to damage the main body, which fires lasers from both its face and tail. I found it best to just ignore the floating heads and just spin around the main body shooting. It gets close when it just refuses to stop doing the ground pound and leaves me at near death, but once it stops, I get those last few shots in and blow its last head off. All I have to do then is take out the floating heads to finally have access to its last part, the tail, which is destroyed by the laser missiles I picked up from one of the heads. And that is Java 1941 complete. It's also where I'm going to leave this episode. I must say, while I enjoyed Greece and still loved the atmosphere of the game after it, I feel Java exposed many of the game's flaws, especially the save system and how clunky gameplay actually is when there's all those hills and slopes to deal with, and it made Java just very unfun to actually play. But next episode I'll be finishing this game, so we'll see if the remaining 2 time periods manage to get things back on track then. Time to finish off the rest of Body Harvest. Last episode we ended by preventing the alien invasion of Java in 1941. We travel another 25 years ahead in time to undo their destruction of America in 1966. Once again, all my weapons were left behind apart from my basic pistol, so bye bye shotgun and rocket launcher. At this point in time, the advancement in technology and recording devices means the aliens can no longer invade in secret like they did the first 2 times, so now subtlety is thrown out and they're sending larger and stronger waves down. I first enter a nearby house and loot the place. It contains a huge amount of ammo and a new shotgun. I get in a new car, the Edzil, and follow the road south and west. A new alien beams down, this huge scorpion. Aliens in this time period are purple, which means they look the coolest here. These ones can try and get a parting shot in with their laser tails even as the heads are blown up. When the second one beams down, I'm already losing people when one gets destroyed by a laser aimed at me. And I run over one myself, reversing to get away from it. Roach gunners are not only more prominent here than they were in Java, they're out in the normal paths instead of being hidden off to the side like many were then. Travelling on foot is rarely an option unless you want to be wiped out in no time. I don't get much time to breathe when I kill the gunner as a harvester wave starts up to the south. And I'm stuck going there on foot as the only nearby car is locked. It's a long walk too, with more roach gunners spawning in. I finally reach the part of town with the harvester, but my human meter is filling and I get half my health stun locked out of me by a roach gunner. I just managed to take out the harvester before it can eat any more humans. Taking out the rest of them uses up all my shotgun ammo and leaves me near death. The upside to having so many more huge tough aliens showing up is that these are the ones that drop health recoveries, so I have more chances to heal. I grab myself another Edzil and check my map. The processor is to the east, but I can't get to it from here, and the only bridge to it in the northeast has been destroyed. I start heading back the way I came, but take an east road I skipped before. I explore the northern edge of this town, but it's difficult as I only have my pistol for the strong aliens. Plus there's this roach gunner out of pistol range that can hit me. I drive to the northeastern corner of this town and enter the shop with the fruit stalls. I go into the basement and find the first alien artifact of this time period in a drawer. Next, north of town I go up this ramp to take a V8 highboy since my Edzil is on the brink of death. I use it to take on that roach gunner but lose it in the process. I next return to the northern half of the map I started at and enter the open sewer pipe next to this building. I go down the manhole, but the whole thing's flooded so I can't move any further. Until I figure out I can drain the water by turning the wheel on this pipe. I can then cross a tunnel and climb out the other side. The second I leave, a new harvester wave starts to the north. I grab a nearby police car and while being shot at by a gunner, Daisy interrupts to warn me that many roads are blocked off and I'll need to find alternate routes. I lose my police car taking out the gunner, but thankfully there was a second one. I get heading north to take on that harvester, but with more scorpions blocking the road and wasting my time, the human meter is already half full. I lose my car again, but there's a taxi close by. I just have to ignore everything else beaming down and rush to the harvester. I lose my taxi, but kill the harvester. I'm given no time to rest when another harvester wave beams down at a school and start attacking the kids. My next objective is to lead those children to a church. I take a nearby tipper and drive north to the school to get shooting. I'm just as much a danger to the kids as the harvester's barrier bounces my truck back and makes me run a couple of them over. With just the basic pistol, the helicopter aliens are just a tedious nightmare to fight. But I take them all out and behind the school is an ice cream van. This is how you get the kids to stop panicking and start following you. You switch on the chimes and just bait them away from the school, and while I'm gathering them up, another harvester wave attacks the school. I try to avoid fighting, but many of them get attacked, and most of them get ran over by me trying to save them. It goes so horribly I personally kill the last human just to trigger the end of the world since I had no chance anyway. Next time I saved way more kids and managed to get them to leave the schoolyard. Thing is, they do move quite slow though, so you have to make sure you don't leave them behind. However, I realise I don't actually know where the church is, and I end up leading them in completely the wrong direction. I end up leading them into the crosshairs of a scorpion and a roach gunner and lose tons of them, so I just quit the game and start again. It's just a little bit southwest of the school, I have no idea how I missed it. I lead them all inside and then rush back to the school to deal with that harvester, accidentally running over one of the kids who didn't follow me. I round up the few I missed and drop them off too. Only for another harvester to appear at the school and a giant scorpion to camp out of the church and keep lasering me. The wanker. I somehow managed to kill it without losing any more kids, even with them directly running underneath it. My next objective is just to reach and destroy the alien processor, but first I've got to deal with the third harvester at the school, and while that's going off another one starts to the south, all the way back where I dealt with the first harvester. I take the school bus, drive south, fling myself over the railings and rush back to the suburbs to take them all out. But by the time I'm done, the human meter is half full. I come back with a V8 and a harvester wave starts to cross on the broken bridge, so I just build up speed and jump the gap. My recording fucked and cuts from the jump to me taking on the aliens, and while I'm facing the harvester, the footage cuts to me taking on a gunner roach. My car is lost and I get a gunner roach, harvester and scorpion coming for me at once. I don't survive. Next time I show up to the harvester wave with some shotgun ammo saved up and first take out that roach gunner. With that gone I can easily kill the harvester and sweep up the rest. While clearing out the rest of this block, Daisy tells me that the processor is on the hospital grounds to the south, but the bridge there is gone too. To the east of this block is a house with a red door belonging to a hippie. Upstairs I can find America's first weapon crystal. In the northeast corner is another sewage tunnel guarded by a gunner, but after I take it out there's still a load of the annoying helicopter alien swarm in town. Then heading further south gets 3 roach gunners beaming down in front of me. I sacrifice a couple cars trying to get close and then hide behind a nearby building slowly plinking away at their health. My human meter also fills a good amount as people just love walking into their line of fire. Eventually I find the best spots to take each of them down. Like, look at this fucking idiot, he doesn't care, where's the self-preservation instinct? And when I finally kill it, it turns out there were 5 just wandering around it. These guys were optional, but they were guarding a building containing some ammo and the rifle. Now it's time for that tunnel. It's a long tunnel and it turns out to have also had the rifle, so I didn't need to waste the time and people on those gunners. I exit the tunnel and run down this ramp. Going up the opposite ramp has me find this monster bug, so I can go south, drive across the water down here and zoom over this ramp. Just keep speeding my way south, dodging fire from a load of gunners and ignoring the new missile launching alien that beams down, so I can reach another sewer tunnel before my fuel runs out. Nothing interesting in here and I come out the other side even further south. The processor is just around the corner now. But first I have another of those attention-seeking harvester waves to deal with. I just hang back and rifle them all, except for the annoying flying ones. I enter the hospital Daisy told me about and make my way to the top, looting it for all the ammo I can find. The processor is on the roof, but first I take down all the flyers. I have very little space to get in front of the processor on foot and fight effectively, but there's a helicopter nearby to try and fly in front of it with. But of course I get more arsehole helicopter aliens too. I hate them, plus roach gunners. It's just such a pain in the arse even getting a good shot with the way the copter moves, and I'm stuck using just the pistol, so when I do get the odd shot in, it's not much. My copter gets shot down, but there are a couple more on the hospital roof. In the end it takes 10 tedious minutes plinking away at the processor before it just fucking dies. This was miserable. The base design on the level on its own is fine, but it's dragged down by the ridiculous harvester spam and terrible processor fight. Thankfully the rest of America doesn't piss me off anywhere near as much as America 1 did. I take the helicopter all the way to the north to find a shield portal too small to squeeze the helicopter through. I tried. Daisy tries to talk to me, but the signal is weak around here due to the density of the mountains. I run through the portal and right away I get gunner roaches, so I have a long journey south with gunners hidden around every turn. The path turns north and I reach a village just as a harvester wave beams down into it. I really have to be careful with these as I ended the first stage with the human meter 70% full, but this one's pretty easy. By this point I'm even getting used to roach gunners and they're slowly becoming just another enemy. I take this new car, the Dusty, and go up this hill to reach a hidden house containing this time's second alien artifact. I check my objective and it's to just make my way east. So back in the town I follow the road which starts off going north, having to actually face one of these missile launching scorpions. Now these you definitely don't want to fight on foot. I go northeast between more mountains and it's just another roach gunner gauntlet. I reach more buildings and get a message from the man in black. He throws out some generic threats and just stands on top of the shed shooting at me. He's also backed up by some flying aliens. I end up losing my car, so I just run up to him and blast chunks out of him with the shotgun. He beams out before I can die, throwing out some sore loser, "I'll just kill you next time" excuse. Then lets his friends beam down and do the fighting for him. Oh, he's one of them, is he? I'm sure you've all dealt with it back in school or whatever. The group of shithead teenagers and there's just one who's always hiding up the biggest kid's arse, only popping his head out at side to make a shit quip before hiding again. Well, in this case the big kid was a giant scorpion and it killed me. Next time I take all three of them out and loot the house the man in black was standing on. A lot of shotgun ammo. I get moving through the east exit of town, where of course my biggest fans, the roach gunners, are waiting around the corner to harass me. Then those helicopter pricks blow up my car. The path leads south to another town where Daisy warns me that someone has really messed the place up. As I get closer, a house explodes next to me to reveal a giant fire-breathing sandworm. I get one shot in before it hides again, but there's actually 3 of them to deal with. I manage to take one of them out, but a 4th is marked down on my map. To really tell them when it's going to raise its head from the sand, I just have to keep an eye on the dust clouds. This helps me take out a second one before Daisy sends me another message. What can be made out through the static is that these are the aliens causing some of the interference with our communications. I take out the last 2 quick enough. That fight was tense, but I'd much rather deal with these than more gunners or helicopters. I have Daisy contact me again. There's still some interference, but it's a bit better. She tells me to get past the ruin blocking my path forward and to find some more powerful weapons. So I enter the nearest house with the red door to get the rocket launcher back. The ruins are slightly northeast and just one rocket blows them away. I continue east through the path on foot. Once I reach the end of these mountains, Daisy can finally send me clearer transmissions again. She's picking up high power signals from an outpost to the east, so checking that out is my next objective. I move north so I can get into this monster bug and keep driving north up the river until I find this small entrance built into the side of the mountain. It leads to some ammo chests and the final alien artifact of America. That's the first time I can complete a set of the collectibles on a stage other than the last one of that time period. Back outside, I turn around and go back the way I came, continuing south until I nearly get hit by the sneaky gunner at the top of this mountain in the distance. Once it's gone, I drive west up the hill a little to find the entrance to a mine. I go down the manhole in here, then go west and north down another. This room is flooded, so I turn the wheel on a pipe to drain it and open the chest here for the second weapon crystal. On the way back, another door opened in the second to another manhole. It leads to a few chests and another ladder leading to a chest containing a totem pole section. I go out and take a path to the east through the mountains. This gets me more helicopters and gunners and loses me my car. There's always a chance I could skip some of these gunners, mainly the ones hidden away that it looks like won't shoot me if I just stay away, but I'm not taking that chance. I get running up the mountain path to the north and then turn east to find the fenced off base station 508. To the west is a slope into more mountains I run up. I follow this long path around and uphill until I find a Native American reservation. Of course this is under attack as well. Not just from the roach gunner I can see right away, but from more sandworms as well. And as I move further in, even a missile scorpion. After it, while I'm still dealing with more gunners and sandworms, a harvester wave also starts up here. Honestly, this stage is far more lenient with the harvesters than the first stage was. But for a major dick move, they made it so that the harvester stands in the line of fire of a roach gunner that's miles away, making it tougher to approach it if I want to use the shotgun for a quick kill. Never mind all the slime grabbing me just as I'm about to do the killing shot. But this is still one of the easier harvester waves I've had in this time period. Daisy lets me know she's getting strange reading from the ground beneath me and there's a load of tunnels underneath me too. She tells me to find someone who can explain what's going on to me. Another new car here, the Sand Minks. A pair of helicopters taking out in no time though. I hate them so much. In the middle of the reservation, I go north up a hill to find a house I can enter. I talk to the man inside who says I need to appease his ancestors by doing a task for them and says I should read their sacred text for information. He talks about how when they were colonised, their sacred totem was split up and scattered around the region. Well, I already have one of them and also take the second, presumably reclaimed, piece from the guy's house. I'm not sure that's what he had in mind. The other text lets me know that there's only one piece left to find though. A little south of the house I can turn west to find another mine. I turn a wheel to release some gas or pressure or whatever and go down the manhole. Then of the next 2 available to me I take the one on the right. I follow this room to a third. In this next room I turn another wheel and climb the ladder to the south. I then go left and down another manhole. turn a wheel to drain more water and go down another. I then keep moving south through a door to find the final totem piece section. I return to the house and return the completed totem. He says I have a long journey and that the spirits will guide me. I have to accept the vision quest, which shows me a new path being blown in the mountains, along with the man in black running through a shield portal and then the military outpost I've been trying to reach, followed by the alien processor. I leave the reservation to the south and run east along this cliff until I find another monster bug. I can then drive further east to find the new path that was created. I follow it all the way to another mine entrance. I just go up the ladder and exit out the other side to finally get inside that outpost. My next objective is to take out the processor, and I have plenty of options for doing so. But first I loot the barracks. This gets me the machine gun, which by now is starting to feel a little irrelevant against most of the aliens I'm fighting now. But it'll still be handy if the pistol is my only other option. There's a UFO in this base, the source of the power readings, but the readings have since disappeared and there's no power to fly it. So instead I take one of the helicopters, a Huey. I get flying southeast a little in the processor's direction. As you'd expect by now, it's backed up by a load of helicopters and roach gunners on every mountaintop. In the end I take so long trying to clear a safe path to the processor that my Huey runs out of fuel and lands right in front of the processor. It's destroyed and I'm not going anywhere from here, so it's a pure damage race now. I take out a huge chunk of its health with my rocket launcher, but right before the final rocket hits and kills it, I go from 70% health to dead in an instant. That was one of the most painful deaths in the entire playthrough. Another 40 minutes later, I just avoid focusing on the backup and spin in circles shooting whatever I can hit. This time it works and the processor is destroyed. This stage was a big improvement over the first, I'd say. Less harvester spam and didn't feel like the stage was purposefully designed to be an arsehole. Even so, after that last death, I was glad to be able to save its completion. There's a new Huey behind where the alien processor once was. I fly to the south of the military outpost to find the shield portal I saw the man in black use during the vision quest. My new objective is to find the entrance into this huge compound. First there's a long run south between these two mountains. Then there's a fork and a sign saying that to the east is Clampert's lodgings, so I go there. He's clearly seen a lot of the aliens. In the same house as a terrified man with a gun, of course I want to go into his basement and steal all his shit right under his nose. This includes the third and final weapon crystal for this time period, this time getting me the lightning gun. I leave the house and there's another path through the mountains hidden behind it. I follow it east and then south, taking out the selfish roach gunner hogging the entire path. At the fork, I go west and south to get a message from Daisy. She lets me know that the compound I'm trying to reach is indeed massive. Out of the mountain path and into this huge desolate desert area. I keep moving southeast until I find a sand minx I can get in, which triggers more aliens showing up. I get close to the shield and start heading south. I then just follow this drop west and north, ignoring the sandworm as there are no people around for it to kill. I find an entrance to the compound, but it's fenced off. Instead there's a ramp in the southeast corner of this area that leads inside. She tells me there's slime dotted all over the compound, covering the southeast section. She believes the aliens are using it to alter the terrain to suit them. But I also have several roach gunners above me and a harvester wave to deal with, not to mention those helicopters I hate so much. So after a long alien killing session, I head to the centre south to find a building I can enter. It gets me some much needed ammo refills. I head north to find an open gate that closes as I get close to it. I enter the building slightly southeast of it. Inside I get the nitro fuel. I take a nearby Miller J3P and with the speed boost the nitro fuel gives me, just barely pass through that gate and get rewarded with 2 harvester waves at once to the east. The Miller has a built-in machine gun so I can very easily take out both of them since they're so close together. After that I enter the huge building in the centre of this area. This place gets me a massive stockpile of ammo. In the western room I gain a red access card. This lets me open the door opposite the entrance. I open all the chests and go down the stairs. I go down more stairs for even more ammo, then down even more stairs, through more rooms and I finally find someone I talk to. But he's not allowed to talk to me and won't move, so I go through the door opposite him. More looting and through the door in the north, then up some stairs on the right and through the door in the north again to end up back outside. A few steps west has me going back inside again. Inside here is an alien grey, but I can't understand it, so I go through the door on the left and exit through the bottom left corner. There's a lot of tanks around here, but first I ignore them and go southwest a little to find another building where I can loot a translator. I can't go any further since I don't have the access card. He then realises he doesn't recognise me and sounds the alarm. This triggers another alien wave followed by a harvester wave seconds later. The lightning gun is very fast and very strong. It makes me curious what I missed not using the alien weapon in Greece. I don't want to use it all up yet though, so I get in a tank and rampage through them all. With the translator I go back to the Grey. He asks that I don't tell anyone I saw it and gives me the access card it used to escape their lab. With the green access card in my hands, the guy from before lets me through. He says I should find one of the military operatives further on who can help me. So I go through another room to end up back outside. A few steps and I get another harvester wave inches from my face. Lightning gun deals with them. After that comes the usual clearing out of helicopters and roach gunners. I check out the hangar in the northwest of this area for the guy inside to say they've had their doomsday devices stolen. To make things easier for me, he grants me the authorization to drive any military vehicle. Back outside, I grab a nearby Huey and get moving southeast towards the alien processor. Of course, I had a load of roach gunners and helicopters to get rid of first, but these lot just respawn way too quick for it to be worth the effort and vehicle health. What I end up doing is the same thing I did with the second processor. Flying circles, getting whatever hits I can, and picking up every possible health refill item from killed aliens. It takes a few minutes, but I manage it. This is the first time completing a stage without dying since Grease 2. It'll also be the last time. Once again, like the second stage, this was much better than the first. After saving, I get a message from the man in black. He's trying to act all hard even after pissing himself and running off in our last fight. Can't win a fight himself, so he set up all these stolen doomsday devices. So I get flying west to find the next shield portal. As soon as I enter, a timer starts counting down from 2 minutes and 30 seconds. I have 5 devices to destroy. I find the first one soon enough, shooting out lasers in 4 directions. These things are quite durable, taking 3 shots from the lightning gun to destroy. There's also these cannons that shoot quick enough that they're a bastard to try and aim it properly, leading to me getting killed. Next time I go north from the first one to find the second device hiding behind a building and take that one out. Though it does leave me close to death and the same cannon as before kills me. Next time I barely get anywhere before the same cannon gets me again. I will say, I'm glad this wasn't part of the third stage. Imagine if this was pushed in right before you could save, where you can be killed so quickly. Next time I try running around the north edge, away from the cannon so I can destroy the third device. Then it's a dash southeast, ignoring the undefeatable cannon, and at the next fort going north to take out the fourth device and then south for the final one, completing the section with 25 seconds remaining. I get another message from the man in black. Thanks to the way the text fades in, I thought he called me a cunt for a second. He's still being a sad wanker pretending he's letting me win. Daisy tells me that just the shield generator is left, but first I'm absolutely saving that. I return to the guy who gave the authorization and he allows me to try a UFO they've been working on. The shield generator is to the northwest, around the middle of the map. It looks like I'm driving a giant killer Beyblade. The UFO is amazing. Its weapon sends out a shockwave that just annihilates the enemies surrounding me. It's very cathartic. It also makes this shield generator the easiest one to destroy by far. As usual, the Alpha 1 comes to pick me up and takes on its battle mode. This time the boss is Moloch. It looks like a larger version of the Harvester mutant. It starts off by firing loads of buzzsaws at me. They continue to travel around the stage and do huge damage to the Alpha 1 if they cut me. As usual for bosses, I stick to skidding in a circle, chipping away at whatever appendages it will let me damage. If I run low on health, shooting the buzzsaws will get me some. At first, only the middle section can be damaged. Once that's destroyed, the arm cannons with the claws can be damaged. It'll not only fire missiles but also the claws, which are still connected to it with electricity. After a while, I blow off its left arm and take the frag cannon it drops. This lets me take out the right arm much faster. Without its arms, the Moloch will now try body slamming the ground like the previous bosses, going for that sweet shockwave damage. But now I can damage the main body, which allows me to finish it off in very few hits. And there is America saved in 1966. Despite the rocky start with the first stage, this time period was definitely an improvement over Java. There were nowhere near as many times where my deaths felt cheap. There's only one key part of the alien invasion to prevent now, the one in Siberia in 1991. Even just as we're landing, you can tell things are very wrong here. Daisy's picking up weird life signals and there's an eerie green fog covering the entire area. I grab a nearby Vlada car and get moving north, where I crush a human without filling a meter. Whatever the aliens have done to this place, it's turned the people into zombies. I can no longer kill them and fill the human meter, but they can still be harvested, which will fill it. Speaking of harvesters, one starts up to the northeast, so I get following the road up there to take them on. The aliens here are dark blue and the toughest they've been yet. This is a problem when I'm once again reduced to just my pistol. I focus on the flying ones and then my car gets destroyed as the harvester crawls towards me. I managed to kill it though and clear out the rest of them, but I came very close to death. I drive back the way I came and downhill, then sink my new car into this lake. I first run uphill south to this big house, but it just gets me health and fuel. You want to avoid the centre of this village, by the way, as it triggers the arrival of a hoverhorse. Thought you were getting used to dealing with roach gunners? Think again, because they always stayed in one spot, but a hoverhorse is a roach gunner that can fly and chase you down. If you're on foot and just have the pistol, you have no chance. I managed to survive my way to the house in the northwest corner of the village. There's a weak man in here who says he used to drive the train to the chemical factory, but some gas escaped and now he feels strange. He hid the train starting handle downstairs to stop the zombies from stealing the train. He opens the door downstairs and I take the handle from the chest. I try to escape town, but the aliens chase me down and kill me. Next time I try to avoid triggering the hoverhorse spawning, but I fail. I die within seconds of leaving the house after grabbing the train handle. I don't even get that far next time. The best way to get that train handle is to hug the north hill. Don't go anywhere near the centre, go around the back of the house too. And then once you have that handle, do it all again in reverse. The only thing is, I did this first instead of taking out the harvester wave, and grabbing the train handle starts a second one in the same place, so I get destroyed. So deal with the harvester wave, go to the village and hug the wall, get the train handle, hug the wall on the way back. Fight the second harvester wave and the giant scorpion that spawns in separately. With that dealt with, I head south of the town the harvester was to this farm. I go inside and talk to the farmer who says that the zombies ate all his shotgun shells so I can use his combine harvester instead. I also take his shotgun. The combine harvester starts with almost no fuel and has very little health. I keep moving north from the village and use it to smash down the fences on my way to the train station. The guy inside lets me know that an avalanche further on has blocked the path forward, but I can deal with it. I get in the train and just keep driving. There's a giant block of ice on the tracks, but I just ram right through it. I just keep driving forward, never stopping for the aliens beaming in, but making sure to get a few shots in before I pass them. We even get the return of the jellies from Java. A missile scorpion spawns on the tracks, but I just keep shooting and ram through it. I reach another train station, but the train has lost a lot of health. And there's a harvester wave here, so I have to get off anyway. Before fighting, I go inside the station to pick up a machine gun. I go outside to take on the aliens and die before I can get off a single shot. And then next time I'm killed by the scorpion after picking up the train handle again. I had to save space on my computer, so the next recording starts for next time I have the train. This time I'm a lot more careful with the train, stopping to use its machine guns to take out all the aliens along the tracks to not risk losing it. This time when I stop the train, I run to a Vladika, drive it to an APC, then use its machine gun to take out all the aliens. That was a relatively quick fight, but the human meter shot up to 40% during it. I first spend a few minutes looting whichever houses survived. Then, for some idiot reason, I wander along the train tracks, trigger the missile scorpion to respawn and nearly die. I take the APC along the train tracks until I can get off to the east where there's a building. Daisy tells me that this is where the gas has been leaking from and tells me to question everyone inside. Well, after dealing with the huge alien attack that starts before I can do anything else. So I go inside and then move north and east into the next room. Then between north and south, I choose the north door and talk to the scientist. He says the gas he was working on was supposed to help people, not turn them into zombies. But the man in black showed up, altered his formula, and here we are. He then sends me a message to gloat. After the two chests are opened, I leave. The man in black hijacks another train carrying the gas. So I decide I'm going to take him on with his tank, after I deal with the extra wave beaming down to distract me. I head further up the tracks, but there's nothing that can be done. The man in black crashes the train into the shield and spills the gas over this town. And two harvester waves start to the west while I'm dealing with a pair of hoverhorses. While I'm taking them out, Daisy lets me know that the people in the nearby town have been poisoned. All I can do is remove all the aliens and take on the processor. I take out the first set of aliens and go for the harvesters, as my human meter is rocketing up, but then more hoverhorses beam down to waste my time. I finally manage to make it up there and take one out, but I get caught on the train tracks on the way to the other and a mutant is created. I take it down because this tank is incredibly powerful, but my human meter is so full. I go as far west as I can to find a locked helicopter and then go south to find a new airboat, the Polar Call 3850. I check my map and the processor is far to the south, down a river. Of course, before I can even get to the river I've got all the hoverhorses coming for me, but this boat is good so fuck 'em. I keep driving south until I eventually reach water and then keep going south. About halfway down I turn east and speed all the way up this mountain to reach a hidden mine. I have to open this chest to open a door to some stairs so I can light a candle to open another door to the first alien artifact of Siberia. From there I drive southeast a little more to find another house where upstairs there is a chest with the first weapon crystal. After that I'm driving southwest to reach the first alien processor. This is tough as even with the fast rate of fire, the boat's guns don't do much damage to it and they have all the usual shit constantly spawning around me trying to whittle me down. Normally I'd speed up the whole battle footage to match the length of time talking about it, but this was 5 long minutes and I don't have enough to say to make that watchable when sped up to match. A law circling later and I kill it. That wasn't quite as frustrating as America 1, but it was still a pain. I save, knowing full well I can barely make any more mistakes with that human meter. Or I would, but the status beacon isn't fucking working. After a 40-minute slog, I feel the least I can expect is a working save point. No matter what I do, what I press and where, it just will not register. I try driving away and coming back, hoping that getting it far out of sight will somehow make whatever's missing come back. But no, I just have to move on to the next stage and hope I beat it first try, and then just hope the next save point works properly. The shield portal is right behind me and I go through it. Daisy's picking up high energy readings from a nuclear base to the west, so I have to investigate. There's a gunboat here, so I just keep driving southeast, taking on these electric fish trying to ram me. Going all the way east shows the way forward being blocked by a giant boulder. So it's south of this village where a harvester wave starts. No gas here, so these are normal killable humans. I take on the harvester, but my APC's auto-targeting goes for the humans it's about to eat and kills them, filling the human bar and killing me. So the game refuses to let my save point work and then kills me less than 3 minutes later. This wasn't the angriest the game has ever made me. It's not even the angriest this game will have made me by the time I'm done. But I was still pretty pissed off. Over an hour later, I'm back and I finished Siberia 1 again with only a 40% full human meter. Most importantly, the status beacon is actually doing its job. So I will not have to repeat Siberia 1 again. Right. This time I take my airboat through the shield portal since it's much faster, easy to control and just more effective than the gunboat. Like, I'm zooming all over that village shooting aliens, the harvester doesn't get to accomplish shit. Gotta love the cowardly hover rosters who were waiting until I was out of my vehicle to show their faces. The sight of these things makes me miss the roach gunners already. One of the houses here is locked, so I get moving south through these mountains until I reach the entrance to this laboratory. I go through the door on the west to find an armory where I can pinch some ammo. Back into the first room and through the north door, and then the door on the west. Inside here is a chest with an access card, and also a horribly mutated man with insect arms. One of the Siberian professors, Legopov, did this. He tells me to take his access card and get out. So I go back to the previous room and go through the north door and then the east door and then the southern door to get back outside. The lab then explodes, somehow. As I'm trying to figure out what's around me, this thing just charges up to me and takes 90% of my health with one whack. I get in a nearby airboat and see that it's some kind of spider chimera. It keeps swatting me in the direction I need to go while I quickly deplete its health until it escapes by burrowing into the ground. I continue to follow this icy path I've been knocked down as it zigzags south, and as I reach the end, the spider thing shows up for me to finish it off. The end of this path then drops me off in front of the locked house from before, and now I have the access card I can get inside. In the basement is the rocket launcher, so now I can return to the iceberg and destroy it. I pass through and move southwest to find another town and another harvester wave. Once again, airboat supremacy. It even chews through those helicopter aliens I hate. I loot all the surviving houses and get driving up the road going northwest. It's a long path with many turns and also forks that lead to dead ends that trigger hover rosters to spawn in. Airboat supremacy can only last so far without health pickups, and the helicopters bring it down and kill me. Next time I leave the airboat and try an APC parked in the town before the road. This time it goes a lot better since I already know where a lot of the dead ends are. I make it to the nuclear installation with very little vehicle health left. Daisy tells me there's a huge build-up of power and signs of life here, so I just check it out. But first I've got a huge backlog of aliens that follow me here to get rid of. But once they're all dealt with, I can go inside. The worker says that the station is overloading and I need to destroy the 5 pump houses. As soon as I step outside, I have only 40 seconds. But I lose a lot of time when my APC bullets don't affect them. When I try the rocket launcher, I run out of time hitting the wrong spots and the station explodes. This leaves the human meter at 90% full, but I'm surviving. So the next objective is to just take on the alien processor. For a nuclear meltdown there hasn't been any effect on the surrounding area. So I can safely loot the barracks, get driving east, then sink my APC and drown in the water, inches from the processor. It turns out I'm supposed to get inside this dozer and drive through the pump houses to destroy them. Would have been nice if the game told me, the time limit doesn't give you enough time to work things out naturally. This time I only destroy 3 before I run out of time, and on this attempt I already lost more humans, so the human bar fills and I game over again. But next time I make it back, I make sure to memorise where they all are beforehand and destroy them all. Daisy tells me the reactor is still overloading though and to go talk to the engineer again. He tells me he's lost contact with the workers inside and lets me take the key from the next room so I can fix it myself. First I take the western door in the back to find an injured worker saying the man in black shot him and set the reactor to overload. He says he pulled the first lever to shut down the reactor, but I need to finish it for him. So I go through a door in the back and then another to reach the lever room, where radiation is making me take constant damage. From the left I pull the second, fourth and then third levers to shut down the reactor. I had to look that one up and I don't know if the game ever actually tells you the proper order. On my way out I can decontaminate to recover health. Now for that processor. To the east of the power station is a parked plane, the Spectre. Before going for the processor I fly northwest to the corner of the shield to find a lone house. Inside it is the second weapon crystal. I then get flying east of the station to find the alien processor just out there in the open, but it's guarded by missile scorpions on the ground. I try the old flying in circles trick, but it doesn't work and the scorpions keep respawning until I'm shot down. But I happen to land right next to an APC, which is even better for this. Thanks to my durability, I can kill the scorpions, collect the health pickups they drop, and then get a few shots in on the processor before they respawn. It takes a while, but I manage it in the end. That one had the power station segment, but it was less frustrating than the first stage. The fact I have more ways to defend myself from the start of it helps. From the status beacon, I drive north and uphill and then keep moving west to find the shield portal. I'm told to find and destroy the hidden processor. As you can see by the lines marking the shield, this is the smallest overall area any full stage has in the game. And as I head east and get out at some houses, data tells me that the processor is hidden underwater. I loot the house for its ammo and get heading east some more to end up at a pair of barracks. I talk to the guy inside one and he says bombs have been planted at his oil rigs. I have to take the nearby Hangman B and fly over to each rig to save his workers, and as I get outside I have 1 minute 45 seconds to this. This copter does feel a little awkward with the normal camera, as it's so huge its arse takes up most of the screen. I start by going northwest and landing on the first helipad. It's quite tense as I have to just wait there while people get on one by one. Next is further northwest to do the same, and the third is northeast of that one. The fourth is northeast some more and can already be seen from the third. My time runs out just before the last worker can get on, and I worry, but then I hear the sound effect for him getting on during the explosion cutscene, so it's fine. Daisy lets me know that while I was doing that, the aliens have taken control of the base, so I fly back, get in my APC and machine gun them all to death. I talk to the guy inside who says the aliens have overrun the lake. They have a prototype aqua tank that can be used to fight them underwater, so I get moving underwater and this thing has missiles strong enough to take out most underwater aliens in one shot. Thing is, there isn't too much to say about navigating this part. It's very maze-like and the processor is around the centre of the lake. I find it after a few minutes and try to kill it at an angle, but the homing on the missiles is a problem as they keep going for the small slope in the ground below the processor, so I can only get shooting it from the front. I try my circling technique I've been using for the last few, but it doesn't work and I end up fleeing looking for something to kill for health, but this just results in me being killed instead. I somehow end up finding the perfect angle to shoot the processor safely, it's just behind this boat above me. The missiles don't damage it much and it sometimes will spot me and send a few of its own missiles back, but after a few minutes I manage to destroy it. That one is by far the shortest and easiest of the Siberia levels, but as you'll find out, it's just to make up for the nightmare that's coming next. However, Daisy can't make a status beacon land underwater, so there's still a chance you can be killed before saving. First I get in the boat I was hanging out under and drive south to find this mine. Going up all the stairs in here takes me out at those houses near the shield portal into this stage, which is where the status beacon is. From the base I drive north to find the shield portal into the fourth stage. I take out all the hover rosters that spawn in after me and get following this road, wherever it twists. During this drive a harvester wave starts to the east. I skip the road and drive straight east over a cliff to take it on. Daisy tells me that there are faint radio signals coming from a nearby building. After looting all the houses, I follow the road slightly northwest to find the building Daisy was talking about. I talk to the radio operator who's trying to send for help but can't get a signal going. He has a scientist friend in the military base to the north who may be able to help, so I get following that road north again. It eventually leads to a wall with a door in it and some coward hover rosters and the missile scorpion beam down behind me for some cheap hits. I make them pay, but it's a shame I have to leave my APC here as it's such a strong vehicle. I go through a few doors and end up inside the base. I start by entering the huge building in the middle and going through the western door. The scientist is in here, saying he has a plan for freeing the radio signals written on the wall next to him and a tank I can use for it to the southwest. He says to clear out all the aliens in the area and then come back to him. That's step 1 of his plan. Step 2 is to retrieve a Scud missile launcher from Vadensk in the northwest, and step 3 is to fire it at the radio station there so the aliens can no longer use it. I go southwest to get in this tank and start following the road. This leads to a very long section travelling through the scorched countryside while the aliens throw everything they have at me. Constant hover rosters, many missile scorpions. After a couple waves I get cocky though and decide to speed past a lot of them. This bites me in the ass when I get pinned between two scorpions who swap my tank backwards into a backlog of a billion hoverroses. Thankfully, most of these drop health pickups when killed, so I can reach the end of this road, turn around and face everything that followed me here. After taking them all out, I can see the scud launcher parked here. But first I go west to find a house hidden away between these walls. This gets me the final weapon crystal in the game, granting me one last alien weapon. Once I leave, I'm under attack by a large wave of helicopters, so I drive away from the vehicles here so they don't get destroyed in the fight. I go north some more to find the radio station I'm gonna be blowing up. Inside is a chest with the second alien artifact inside. I then enter the scud launcher, but that triggers another wave of aliens, so I get right back in my tank and deal with that. It also resets the alien spawns on the way back to the base, so I drive along that and take them out again. I return, but first I get in this plane near the building I found the weapon crystal. Once again this triggers more flying aliens, so it's back in the tank to get rid. I then get flying southeast until I reach the shield and then all the way south to find a village. In one of the houses here is the final alien artifact and final collectible in the game overall. I return to the military base and talk to the scientist. He says to use the hangman west of this building to carry the scud launcher back here and place it in the fenced off area. So I take it over and find that 2 aliens survived. So I destroy them, hover over the scud launcher and pick it up with a cable. More flying aliens show up, but the hangman doesn't have any weapons, so I just have to let them chase me back to the base. I manage to drop the launcher near the fence and draw their attention away from it before the hangman is shot down. I get in my plane, but that's reduced to the smallest bit of health before I can even take off. I manage to survive all the way back to my tank where I find there's way more of them than I thought after me. I take them all out and get driving along the wasteland back to the base, taking out even more respawned aliens. Skimming over this, 10 minutes after dropping off the scud launcher, I make it back to the base. The scientist says that there's no power to launch the missile, so I have to deal with that now. This means going back to the southern half of the stage. Thankfully my APC is still waiting there as the hoverroses and missile scorpion have respawned. Travelling back the way I came, I turn west at one point and see both power stations being sucked up by jellies, so I take the both of them out and get driving back. I finally remember I have the alien weapon, the disruptor this time. The scientist tells me to find the firing code next door and use it to launch the missile at the radio station. I go through the door to the right and find the code in the locker. I can now get inside the scud launcher and set that missile off. I only have one, so I have to make sure I hit that radio station, leaving just a massive crater where it once was. Daisy tells me that doing that has made the processor appear to the east. It's also pissed off the aliens and they've sent another wave after me. But I still have a tank and they don't have anything new, so I wipe them all out. The processor is actually very close, in fact it's still inside the base in the northeast corner. This is one of the easiest processors to deal with in a while. It's in a convenient place and easy to hit while staying in around the same spot. This is a very tough stage and at first I'm thrilled to believe I've scraped through it first try. But then something happens. The Alpha 1 is suddenly surrounded by hoverroses. The robot tells me that it's under attack and I have to help out. This means they haven't sent out a status beacon, and this is where everything goes wrong. I feel I have to justify myself here with what happens next. I've been in this stage for an hour already. I've already lost many hours from Grease 3 to now thanks to the way this game's save system works and how easy it is to die. And I've already been screwed over when it comes to saving when the status beacon didn't work first time in Siberia 1. I've been at Siberia alone for 2 days straight at this point due to how stressful dying late in a stage is and how much time I'd lose. So I panicked. I grab a plane, fly back into stage 3 and use its status beacon to ensure I don't have to repeat everything before the processor. I get flying back to stage 1, but on the way, the Alpha 1 is destroyed, getting a game over. I worry I've saved too late and not left myself enough time to save it on a reload. That's not the case. It's worse than that. Daisy still says they're under attack when I reload, but all the harvesters are starting again as if I hadn't played the stage. I walk back to the Alpha 1 to find that the hoverroses aren't there, and neither is Daisy. So I play through stage 4 again, thinking I may just have to destroy the processor again to fix things. But there's a large problem. The radio station is back and the processor only appears after it's destroyed. The scud launcher's missile is the only other thing that saving the game when I did has removed permanently, and there's only one missile. I spent a good couple hours repeating everything in this level, trying anything I could think of to make that missile respawn. In the end, I just had to accept that the level has been rendered unwinnable. Okay, so I think on this channel I've been very fair and accepted blame for many mistakes I've made in previous games. Not here. If this game's save system wasn't made the way it was, and I hadn't had the trouble that I'd had before, and I hadn't had a save point actually just refuse to work the day before, I would not have taken the actions I did. I think my panicked scramble to save the hour of gameplay I'd just done was justified considering my experience up to that point. I will say, this incident retroactively worsened the troubles I'd had before in this game that I was willing to overlook, and my feelings on the game suffered greatly after this point. The only thing that made these videos on this game happen is that you can choose to restart the time period from the beginning through the main menu. That saved these videos. If I'd start again from the beginning, I would have just scrapped the whole thing. I was not willing to repeat most of Java or America 1 due to what happened. This game was already a replacement for a scrapped N64 game, Glover, which deleted my save a third of the way through due to its own known issues with saving at certain points. I got to keep my collectibles on reload, but this does mean that I can't regain the Disruptor as I start the time period with all the weapon crystals, so I never got to try it out. It still took me a few hours and a few deaths, but I worked my way back here in a fraction of the time it took the first time. So I destroy the processor again. I get in the nearest plane and zoom over to the Alpha 1. I refuse to repeat this stage again, but those hover rosters do not care about me and only target the Alpha 1 until I get up in their faces. This lets me take them out and finally get the Alpha 1 to send out a star beacon to the spot I destroyed the processor. I go inside the Alpha 1 and see that Daisy is missing again. She's left a message though. She's been taken to the alien homeworld by the man in black. The Alpha 1 has been programmed to follow her, but only after the invasion in this time period has been stopped. I finally get my save and see that the shield generator is to the southeast, and the shield portal is to the south. It's not far from the portal, but there's so much shit I just know this plane has no chance. But there's a tank nearby I can take. But while landing I nudge it slightly and have to chase it down a hill. But I get inside. But it has barely any health. But I take out the first segment of the generator with little trouble. But I'm swamped and the tank is reduced to near death. But I missile like 3 aliens right in front of me and get a huge health refill. But there's still too many of them and the tank is destroyed, with me following it soon after. Next time I don't even make it to the tank before my plane gets shot down and I can't reach any other vehicle in time. Third try, the tank gets swatted all over the place, but I still manage to take out one section of the generator. At first I think I'm lucky that they knocked me next to an APC, but that can't survive the volume of enemy fire for more than 10 seconds before it's gone. Fourth attempt, I try being creative, which isn't a strong point of mine. I get in a hangar and carry a tank from the base to the shield portal so I can come in shooting instead of scrambling for the other tank parked here. This tank actually starts with full health, and using my brain actually worked as I easily destroy the shield generator. I get in the Alpha 1, get my save, and get fighting the fourth boss, Beelzebub. It flies and has these 2 cannons constantly spewing electricity. This first attempt doesn't last long as we both stand still and get in a damage race. I almost destroy its right cannon, but the Alpha 1 blows up first. So next time it's the good old skidding in a circle method, but because this thing floats high up unlike the ones before, it can be a bit trickier to get the shots in. This boss is also helped out by those dive-bombing arseholes that gave me so much trouble back in Grease 3 and Java, but shooting them down does grant me some small health refills. It looks like I'm doing well at first until the boss teleports above me and sends me flying with huge damage for the backup to finish me off. I found the best way to deal with this one was to change the camera angle to be far above me, letting me see more of what's going on. This helps quite a lot, and after a few minutes I've destroyed the left cannon. But it gets more teleport heavy and more backup shooting me, and the Alpha 1 is destroyed moments before I can get a health pickup. Next time the right cannon goes first. I never get the chance to grab the weapon drop though, so I'm stuck slowly chipping away at the other with the basic chain gun as well. But I manage it and take out the left cannon as well. The next target is its arse, just gotta get behind it and shoot. It has less health than the cannon, so it takes much less time to break off. This makes it as angry as anyone would be from having their arse blown up, and it becomes much more aggressive, trying to chase and ram into me. But at this point I can damage the main body now. The Alpha 1 is still destroyed though. But on my 5th try I was able to swerve into some frag cannon ammo before it disappeared and just completely wipe it out. The experience of playing Siberia really damaged my opinion of this game and made me wish it just ended here, but we're still not done. Our last part of the game has us travel 25 years forward to the present day 2016, where we land on the alien comet to try and get Daisy back. But this final place is a bit different. I control the Alpha 1 for the entirety of it. This at least made me feel better about still having more game. No other humans alive, so there's no human meter, so there's no harvester waves. All I can do is make my way north from the southeast corner I'm starting in. Destroying the various alien plants and structures will give me ammo for the various extra weapons, so I just continue to head north, blowing up everything I can to build up ammo. After about 5 minutes of inching my way forward, I get a distress message from Daisy. She's escaped and is broadcasting her location to me. It's in the middle of the south of the comet. It is tough to describe what I'm doing as most of this just looks the same. I inch forward a bit, getting to fight either a cannon thing or flying things above me with lasers before I inch forward a bit more. Eventually I meet the most powerful regular enemy in the game, Suppressor. These huge squares with faces and rocket launchers. They can even take quite a few frag cannon shots. Almost 10 minutes of blowing up everything has only got me about 2/3 of the way up the map, so I decide to speed up a bit. There is a starred red line on the ground I can follow as well. At this point, this particular section keeps spamming those cannon aliens, and I'm moving too slow, so the Alpha 1 is destroyed and I die. Next time I go back to the zoomed out camera, as it just works so much better with the Alpha 1. I end up going as far north as I can in the area I died last time, and as I am searching for a way forward, a suppressor takes me down. I last even shorter on the third try and just get running on foot, desperate to spot any way forward for the next attempt, but I don't last long. If there's one thing I can say about the comet, it's that at least I'm only repeating 10 to 15 minutes with every death and not 40 to 60. On my fourth attempt after building up some ammo at the start, I just floor it past everything and find this giant crystal in the corner blocking a passage through some mountains. Here I meet the Qwerties. They look small and of little threat, but they have a lot of health and their machine guns can chew through yours. Don't do what I do and stay still fighting them. Speed around in circles or you're gonna be shot up. So I just make my way south, fighting Qwerties and destroying all the crystals for ammo and health. Eventually this path starts turning west and I reach the end of the land, very nearly slipping into a pool of acid or lava or whatever liquid covers this thing. I cross this thin path through it to the south and that's when I get two suppressors at once. I kill the first and very nearly die killing the second. Speeding south some more and another one beams in behind me. I think I killed it rather easily, but then another comes in from the distance. This is why you need to build up ammo when you can. The chain gun is just not good enough for these. South some more and I reach the end of the path, but not before another suppressor emerges from over the mountains behind me, but I take it down like the rest. I have to cross a tiny bridge west onto this square area where the hover rosters return. I try the chain gun on them and it's okay, but the frag cannon is best to not take any risks. I get destroying the 4 buildings around this central structure, but I get swamped by loads of hover rosters and killed. That was a painful loss after making that much progress. I make it back and this time I use the laser missiles. I also forgot about that last suppressor, so that got to join in on the hover roast fight too. After taking them all out, I check the map to see how little of the comet I've covered compared to what's left. I get going south, where I have all these thin bits of land surrounded by lava puddles to cross while controlling this Diddy Kong racing hovercraft and getting more Qwerties ganging up on me. I try heading south and navigating this place, only for the slipperiness of the Alpha 1 to slide me right into the lava and kill me. This happened a few times over a couple hours in a few deleted recordings. Next time I just inch my way across as carefully as possible, but there was a terrifying moment when I slid onto more lava and almost blew up before I managed to free myself. But soon after I make it to more stable ground. Daisy's signal is just a little more to the west, but first I find this red crystal with lightning coming out of it. Blowing up finally lets me save the game. I go west through the nearby gate and get the man in black bragging about how the message from Daisy was a fake and they still have her. He beams in a load of missile scorpions around this section. These are actually quite easy to deal with without special weapons. Just keep circling them at the right speed so that you'll never cross their fronts to get shot. Although it is a bit tricky when I get 3 of them onto me at once, so I resort to the laser missiles. Once they're all taken out, I can exit through a gate in the northwest corner. The robot tells me he's picking up fading human life signs from the alien city in the middle of the map. Of course, this means doing almost a full lap of the entire comet. I get following the path southwest and face these dragons. These can be nightmares, as they have a homing lightning attack whenever they get close to you. It eventually gets to the point that I always use the extra weapons on these because the damage can add up quick. I go uphill and drive west along the southern edge of the map until it turns north. I get a few of the basic cannons, but eventually ignoring them and speeding southwest into more dragons. I let too many of them get near me and they destroy the Alpha 1. Next time I just get frag cannoning them. Moving northwest takes me to these alien pods and more dragons. You'll want to blow up the pods though as they drop more ammo. At this point I've gone as far west as I can, so it's purely north for a while. It's a load of missile scorpions, alien pods, and so many dragons at once I use some of the resonator ammo I've been saving, a massive shockwave that just wipes them all out. The next lot that come in further on spawn inside me and send me flying, stuck on a cliff edge as I accelerate desperately trying to avoid falling into lava. Then I accept the inevitable and let go, and it just turns out to be a normal floor behind me. And further north is dragons and 2 missile scorpions together. What finishes me here is the auto target getting confused between both scorpions, the last dragon and an alien pod behind them, never able to just kill one, which ends in my death. Next time I get lucky and kill one scorpion and the last 2 dragons at once, leaving the last scorpion easy to deal with. Despite the map saying there's still some north left, ignore it. There's a little box to the east that I travel to, and from there, north over a thin bridge. Once I'm across, I'm going east across the north end of the map, but here I have more scorpions and the hover roasters are back. Terrain wise, this section is the simplest. I can see most things and there's plenty of crystals to destroy for ammo. The main challenge here is the volume of enemies. There's always something coming for you and I'm always checking the map to see how far along I am. I make it about halfway across before 2 suppressors show up. I kill one and almost get the second, but it kills me first. That one hurt. I was about 3/4 of the way through that entire section, and the next time I get back they kill me again. 15 minutes later I kill them on my 3rd go at them. After them it's pretty straightforward to the end. I go south and uphill, following another thin road. Around here I'm using the resonator for almost everything, since I don't want to risk being knocked into the lava this late. The road leads to another red crystal to destroy, and that's another huge chunk I never have to do again. Following the road south a little and then west has me going through a gate and finally entering the alien city. Of course, Daisy's life signs are on the complete opposite end from the entrance. I don't get very far first time as there are these turrets slinging electricity at me from everywhere. Gotta like how they keep me alive for a bit longer, as if I have even the slightest chance of doing anything without the Alpha 1. Next time, fuck 'em. Just speed right past them until I enter the next area. I follow the road south and then west through another gate. I deal with a few dragons and then keep going west until I go through the gate into the sector with Daisy's life signs. The man in black shows up saying that the alien hive mind has told him to try taking me down himself, calling me brother. He tried that before though, back in America, and he couldn't do it then. And that was back when I didn't have the Alpha 1. But he's got his own evil hovercraft and it is a pain in the ass to keep an eye on, zipping about everywhere and up the walls. The most damage I did was when he somehow wedged himself against me with his guns pointing away so only I could get any shots in. I get cocky and try to recreate it, but it gets me killed instead. Next time I actually try my other weapons. Laser missiles are easy to avoid at that speed and the frag cannon just isn't doing it. By the time I get to trying the resonator, I'm blown up again. Next time he just can't stop getting stuck, actually letting the missiles hit, and he goes down in no time. I just barely get the last hit first, causing him to whine, do the Obi-Wan strike me down line and beam away. I go up the ramp to this building in the middle and get out of the Alpha 1 to go inside. Daisy's being held in what she calls a pain amplifier and yells at me to turn it off. Well, I don't appreciate the shouting, but she did say please. So I give it a whack, she's free and we're both back in the Alpha 1. Daisy lets me know that the aliens are such salty bitches that they're just gonna ram the comet into the Earth. I have to destroy all of the comet's engines to knock it off course. See these 4 greyed out city corners on the map? That's where they are. So back in the previous area, I start by going south into the large section holding the first 2. There's a huge amount of hover roasters and QWERTYs hiding here, so first I just speed around the area resonating them all to death. It only takes about 2 minutes, that includes this crystal I can destroy for a one-time save, and I get driving up the slope to the thruster in the southwest corner. Like the shield generators, they're powered by 4 attachments I have to destroy. I'm also getting constant hover roasters to deal with up here, but they end up sliding down the sides a lot. Taking out all 4 powers down the thruster, so next I get driving up the one in the southeast corner. Nothing much to say about this one, it goes even quicker. I then go back through the gates and directly north to the section with the last 2. I plan to do the same enemy clear out I did last time. I get using the plasma bombs, which I haven't used any of yet. Less than 10 seconds in, I discover the plasma bombs have friendly fire and destroy the Alpha 1 at full health for the single bomb. Next time I just stick with the laser missiles. First goes the northwest thruster. I have very little health left, so I take out the final save crystal. Just the one in the northeast left. Doesn't take long, and that's all the thrusters gone. My next objective is to go to the central command tower to kill the hive mind. But as I go back through the gate and return to the central area, the game's 5th boss appears, the Scorpio. It fires powerful lightning beams and creates shockwave by clapping its pincers. I try circling it while using the missiles, but it knocks me into one of the now closed gates, trapping me and giving it the chance to deal some massive damage. I reduce it to the last quarter of health, but it just rushes me and finishes me off. Next time I do around the same damage, but it still gets me. On the 3rd attempt I get it close to death, but then those dragons start turning up and fighting. This actually saves me though, as killing them drops some much needed health refills, giving me just enough to kill it as an attack that would have normally killed me also hits. Daisy brags and I get a lot of ammo refills. As I enter the gate towards the central tower, I'm allowed to save too. Top of the ramp I get out of the Alpha 1 to go inside. The hive mind is here, just a big brain in a tube. It comes out with some toothless threats and I just kick it to kill it, somehow making the entire tower explode. Now we just got to get out. But of course, big whiny baby sore loser the Man in Black can't have that. He transforms himself into the final boss, Tomegatherion. First I circle him using the resonator to kill those scorpions helping him. He himself just spins in place following me and trying to get me with his gun arm. As I take out his health, he also calls in some hoverosers. Once I run out of the resonator, the laser missiles come next. I blow up his right cannon, leading to him using his bigger left one instead. That one goes even quicker thanks to the range of my earlier resonator usage. He somehow gets a bigger cannon on his right hand and I decide it's time to try the plasma bombs again. This time I know to keep a distance. But he's just too slow and he pulls out a bigger cannon on his left arm too, so it's back to the laser missiles. The right cannon goes again and the left even faster once again. He next starts teleporting around the place, targeting me with laser eyes. But then a few minutes go by and I just can't do any more damage to him. What I have to do is manually aim for the upper body, as my auto target aims for the indestructible wheels. I eventually find a good spot to just blow his health away. Now he's just sort of weak and pathetic and can barely move, so I quickly blow out his wheels. He's reduced to his original form, so I get out of the Alpha 1 and run up to him. He drops that he's a clone of Adam from his blood drops from the opening cutscene. He gets one last snivel in with "kill me and you're killing yourself," but I'm too sick of him to care and gun him down. And that's the game. The alien comet explodes, the Earth is safe, I get a text congratulations, and our two characters do a snog. The robot gets nothing. I think if you watched both videos on this game, you can see my enjoyment degrade in real time as it goes on. Ever have one of those games where there's so much you like, but actually playing it is your least favourite part of it? That's Body Harvest to me. I said before that I love the tone and atmosphere and hopelessness the game gives off, helped out by that soundtrack. I really enjoyed the Greece stages and most of America. But Java and Siberia dragged the game down enough and I still don't know how I feel about the alien comet because the game left me in such a bad mood by the time I was playing it. But here's the thing, the clunky gameplay and the frustration Java and Siberia gave me would have been easily forgiven if the game just had a better save or checkpoint system. If it wasn't possible to repeatedly lose an hour's progress in seconds, I wouldn't have gotten so fed up. I do not exaggerate when I say that if this game's saving was better, or there was some kind of checkpoints, this game would have been ranked anywhere from 30 to 50 places higher than it actually will be, even if nothing else was changed. This game's importance can't be denied though, being such a major stepping stone to Grand Theft Auto 3 and being part of the creation of the 3D open world genre. This is one of those games that would absolutely benefit from a modern day remake to fix those flaws. But of course the game didn't sell well, so it'd never happen. But it's a game like this that needs it most. A game I almost find great, but had to settle for good with a pretty big asterisk next to it.